Ooh, a spicy question. I
because
love
the writing is sort of everything, right? Like you kind of can fix plot holes, but if the writing is
so some readers love that, and some readers are like, but I wanted more of this. So it's kind of a gamble.
Hello and welcome back to the Right and Wrong podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by a best-selling author of feel-good fiction whose 20th novel is out as of this airing. It's Heidi Swain. Hello.
Hi, hello. Thank you for inviting me to come and chat with you today.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being here with me. Let's start with so much to talk about, but let's start with the new book, your 20th novel, Best Summer Ever. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it still when I hear people say that, 20th book. I'm not sure how that happened. So, so Best Summer Ever is a series title. It is my third trip back to the North Norfolk village of Winmouth, which is absolutely idyllic. As with all my series books, though, you don't have to have read them all in order or any of them at all for the latest release to make sense, because they all feature different main characters. So this book is about Daisy, who is returning to Winmouth after a rather mortifying breakup, I suppose is the way you could put it. And she is having to move back into the family home, into her childhood bedroom, in the hope of embracing the best summer ever. And while she's there, she meets this wonderful American guy called Josh, who for some reason has turned up in this tiny little village and is also having the summer there. It's kind of about what happens when they get to know each other. And it's about Daisy finding herself back at home and finding her way back to something that's really important to her.
But you mentioned that this is part of a series. How many books are in this series that's set in this Norfolk town village? Okay,
so in this particular series, there are 3 titles. There's a summer title called The Secret Seaside Escape. Mm-hmm. There's a Christmas title called Underneath the Christmas Tree, and Best Summer Ever. That's the third. Okay.
But as you mentioned, you don't need to have read the other books to you can basically jump in with any book in this series and you'll be fine. You won't need to have read the other ones.
Yeah, no, not at all, because all of my books feature different main characters. So it's, their story is complete within the pages of that novel.
Yeah. I always think it's fun when you have a sort of series like this, which are essentially unrelated, but exist in the same sort of universe. Do you have the sort of characters from the other novels pop up as sort of side characters or sort of cameos within each of the novels?
Yes, yeah, they do. So, for example, in this one, there's a gorgeous pub in the village, and that features characters who have appeared before. And readers absolutely love that because they get to go back and, find out what's happening with a character that was perhaps a main character in a different title.
Yes. I guess from a writing perspective as well, it's a nice way of sort of alluding to a sort of happily ever after in some ways without actually, because presumably you would have concluded that character's story arc in their novel, and then them popping up in this one. If a reader has read the other one, they can get the moment and be like, oh, look, they're happy because they went through it all and now they're doing what they want to do. That's it.
Exactly. And with the Wimbridge series, I'm just turning around to look at my bookcase. I think there are 9 maybe books in there now. So, you've got characters from all over the place popping up in those in particular.
Okay. Of the 20, are all of them in some sort of series?
No, they're not actually. I've got a couple of standalones now as well. I have got the Book Lovers Retreat and the Holiday Escape. So, they're 2 standalones set in completely different places. So it's been quite an interesting experience switching from writing series books to writing standalone novels.
Are the standalone novels a newer thing? You historically used to always write series?
Yeah. So the last 2 summers, I think is how we've worked it out. They have both been standalone titles. So the Book Lovers Retreat set in the Lake District and the Holiday Escape set in Dorset. So that's been really interesting.
Okay. But of course, because of the nature of your series, you could always write more novels set in those same places and now they become series.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And funnily enough, a lot of people asked actually when they'd finished those books, please go back to these settings. Setting is a really important feature in my writing, and they were desperate for me to go back. I haven't yet. Whether I will in the future, I don't know. But at the moment, we're classing them as standalones.
Oh, okay. That's great. I mean, it's great to have the freedom to sort of revisit different places as you want, or just try somewhere new.
Yeah, absolutely. Best of both worlds, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So like we just said, like you said, you still can't really believe it. It's an incredible achievement to have written 20 novels, let alone published them. I'd love to go back to the start with your debut novel, The Cherry Tree Cafe, which I think came out in 2015. Is that right?
It did. Yeah.
How long had you been writing before you were first published with that?
Well, I've always been a writer, right from my teen years. I was scribbling all sorts of things. But it took me until, I guess I was nearly 40 before I decided that I should pluck up the courage and try and take it seriously. It was a case of, if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. That was how I was feeling at the time. So I wrote my first novel to see if I could write a novel. And then I wrote The Cherry Tree Cafe. So The Cherry Tree Cafe was my second full-length novel. And that was the one that got published. So in some respects, it sounds as if it happened really, really quickly. But there were lots of years of writing other things that kind of worked up to that.
Mm-hmm. The first novel that you wrote, did you send that to agents or editors or anything?
I didn't do anything with that. I printed it out, read it, put it in a box under the bed and kind of forgot about it to move on with the next one. But the crux of that, the actual setting of that novel, became the setting for my second novel, Skylark Farm. So it wasn't wasted as it were. I still kind of made use of that. So yeah, I didn't do anything with it at the time, but it came back out of the box when I needed to write the second book.
Oh, okay, so it was almost a sort of a proof of concept for another book that you wrote later.
Yeah. I wasn't being that clever about it at the time, but yes, I'll claim that.
Yeah, well, retroactively, we'll say that's what it was.
Absolutely, that's exactly what it was. Edit that appropriately, please.
So the second full-length novel that you'd written, The Cherry Tree Cafe, how did that end up being published? Did you submit that to agents, to competitions, to editors? What was the road in there?
So the first thing that I did when I was writing that book was join the Romantic Novelists Association New Writers Scheme, because I knew I could submit that book and receive a critique back from a published author, and that kind of felt like an invaluable opportunity, really, to get that kind of advice before I decided to try and put it anywhere. So sent the novel off. It came back. I had a few tweaks to make, which I did. And then I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do with it. And Books in the City, the digital imprint of Simon & Schuster, announced their One Day, which is 24 hours, open submission. You can submit an unsolicited manuscript to them for consideration as being published as a digital release at the time. And so that's what I did. I think it was July the 15th, I think it was. I submitted it, and it was July the 15th or the 16th the following year that the book was published.
Oh, wow.
It was incredible. It really was amazing. So I put the book in July. I think I heard back from them in September, and I'd got the 2-book deal offer in November. It was amazing.
Oh, I see. So you submitted that on the basis of it being, let me see if I just get this right here. You submitted it on the basis that it would be a digital-only standalone, but then you were offered a deal in the wake of that.
That's it, exactly. So the first 2 books came out as ebooks. Then I was asked to write a Christmas book. And so I got another deal, asked to write a Christmas book, and then we went back and published them also in ebook and, as audio and paperback. So they're all out in paperback.
Oh, wow. You really hit the ground landing with your publishing career there.
It was amazing. It was such a fantastic opportunity. And it just kind of snowballed from there, really. I think I was on my 4th book when I decided that I needed to start writing full time. I knew I was going to be writing 2 books a year from then on, and I couldn't juggle that with a family and working in a school as well. So it was sort of time at that point to make the leap.
Yeah, amazing. So at what point did, and I think your literary agent is Amanda Preston at LBA.
It is. Wonderful, Amanda.
At what point did that partnership come about?
I think I had literally just signed my 3rd deal when I decided that an agent might be the way to go. An agent would be useful, more than useful. And Amanda was the only agent I submitted to because she kind of ticked all the boxes for me. And we had a meeting. She invited me down for a meeting and offered to represent me that day. So she's been with me for quite a while now, but to be honest, it kind of feels strange to think that I had produced those other books without her, because she's such an integral part of my work. You know, she's amazing. She's always there, and she's a great part of the team, and the publishing team are fantastic, and I consider myself very lucky.
Okay. So you said it was around your 3rd deal. So had you already published 4 novels or so by the time you decided?
No representation for those. But S&S were looking after me really well. Yeah. And everything was going in the right direction. And I suppose lack of confidence at the start made me think this might not work out. But then by the time we'd published the first 2 and they'd sold really well and we were going to paperback and we had another deal and then another deal, I thought, actually there might be some legs in this. I need a bit more help. If
you could, like, thinking back to it, do you think you should have gotten a literary agent earlier in the process, or were you fine with it how it was and then the timing that you did get your agent?
I think looking back, I'm really happy with how it worked out. You can be waiting such a long time to hear back from an agent because they have so many submissions. And I think for me, it was a real leap of faith to put my words out there at all. And I think once I'd made the decision, I had to get on with it. I didn't want to be waiting around because I think my courage might have failed me.
Sure.
So I think it happened in the right way.
Okay. And it's interesting to think. So traditionally, I would have thought you've had and you are on, a consistently, like, Simon & Schuster keep giving you new contracts is what I'm trying to say. You've released 20 novels with them now. There seems to be a great partnership happening there, and it just this doesn't look like any signs of stopping. So no. What is Amanda's role in that? Is she there to sort of just negotiate the numbers and things?
Yeah, so Amanda kind of takes care of anything to do with the contract. She's just a great writing support as well. So, for example, when the first drafts are submitted, she gets a copy. Claire Hay, my editor, also gets a copy. And we just kind of make every decision as a team, the 3 of us. We work very closely. We work very much together. And sort of any queries that come in from other publishers about whether I'd like to read a proof for another author, everything comes in via Amanda. She's kind of like a go-between. And having her there to take some of the pressure off from other things, it just means that I can focus on the words. That's the most important thing, getting the stories out there, especially when you're writing 2 books a year. There's not a lot of time for lots of other things, but there are still lots of other things that you have to do. So having an agent means that they can take the strain, they can carry the weight of some of that for you. Right, okay. She just takes a lot of the more like publishing business sort of things off your plate, freeing you up to be more creative. Yeah, she does. And she's a great friend as well. We're in touch every week. She's wonderful. She's really, really great. Okay, great. Yeah. And it's like you kind of mentioned earlier, it sort of sounds like you don't know how you managed without her. And now she seems like an invaluable part of the puzzle. yeah, I can't imagine her not being around now. Bless her heart. Yeah, she's amazing. She's really, really great. And like I say, it's just really nice to have an extra pair of eyes on the manuscript. So when an edit comes back, we'll have a Zoom meeting, the three of us, and sort of work through everything before I start working on a second draft, which is what I'm doing at the moment with an autumn book. So yeah, it's just that extra bit of reassurance and support. She's wonderful.
Yeah. Like we mentioned, all 20 of the novels have been with Simon and Schuster. You mentioned that Claire is currently your editor. Has Claire been your editor from the start?
Claire was my editor right at the very beginning. I think we edited three books together, and then she left for a little while, and I had a couple of other people, and then she came back. So aside from 2 or 3 books, yeah, she's been my editor to, through it all. She's wonderful, and we've got a great working partnership, and that really makes a big difference, I think, because as I'm writing something, I can almost gauge her reaction to it. I know what the note is going to be, whether that's positive or not so positive. When I get it back, I know what she's going to think about something. But that's great. That's really wonderful. And it's the same with a lot of the rest of the team as well. Like I have Pip Watkins. She has designed every single cover. All 20 covers she has designed, and she pulls it out of the bag with every single one. And then my wonderful publicist Harriet as well. We've worked together for years, so it feels a real, such a great collaboration. I might be responsible for the words and the story, but you've got all these other people in the background doing a great job as well.
Yeah, it's like a sort of tight knit publishing family that you've the whole thing is built around.
Yeah, it is, and that feels really, really supportive, and that's how I like to work. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the same people that you kind of already have a rapport with, you all already have an understanding of what the kind of goals are, what the missions are, what everyone's supposed to be doing. I would imagine, especially when you're putting out 2 books a year, everything becomes much more streamlined the more you do it, because everyone just knows what to expect from everyone else.
It really, really does. And in terms of like the cover art, people ask me all the time, do you get a say in your covers? Because I know lots of authors don't get a say in what goes on the covers of their books, but we work on that together. Claire will ask me for a brief, which she will take to Pip. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the last time I asked her to change something on a cover, because they come back and I open that image and it's like, yeah, you got it, that's it, exactly. I might change perhaps a bit of footwear or shift the colour of something a little bit, but that's it.
Mm-hmm. Just like sort of minor notes, but other than that, just great.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. It's great. I guess that's kind of everyone's dream in publishing. Like I've heard stories when people have had, whether it's because they're changing publisher or like someone goes on maternity leave or something, whatever the reason may be, of like sort of having teething problems when they have a new editor or like something moves around within the team. But yeah, well, you seem to have built this family that's just kind of stayed with you this whole time. It sounds amazing.
It has been amazing. And even when I had the 2 other editors, it was like a really, really careful handover. And they were great. They were also fantastic. It still felt like we were working on a Heidi Swain book. There was no, I don't think if you picked up a book edited by somebody else that you would be aware of that. It feels very much like they've all come from the same place.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, that's great to hear. We are at the point in the episode where I take all of your belongings and ship you off and ask you, Heidi, if you were stranded on a desert island with a single book, which book do you hope that it would be?
Crikey. Oh my goodness, that's a question. For a start, I'm really liking the thought at the moment of just going to a desert island and just having some peace and quiet.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing.
I'm going to be really predictable and name the book that I absolutely love and that I always say, and that's A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens.
Oh, you said predictable. I was thinking Jane Austen. I wasn't going to guess that.
Okay, well, perhaps not predictable then. No, I like that. It's a book that I read every December the 1st. I've got a huge collection. I absolutely adore it. So if it was the only book I could take, that's what it would be, A Christmas Carol.
Oh, that's so interesting. I think you're the first person to say that. I've never had anyone
like that.
I've had Dickens, but I've never had specifically A Christmas Carol.
Love it.
So
love it. And can I take the Muppets DVD as well? Would that be allowed?
Oh, naturally. Yeah. I think that's a gimme. If anyone wants to take the Muppets, they can take it.
Brilliant. Yeah. No,
we'll throw in Muppets Treasure Island as well.
Go mad.
Amazing. A great choice. Very original too. Yes, awesome. Coming up, I've got some questions about Heidi's writing routines, how she keeps pace with doing 2 novels a year, and whether she is a planner or a pantser. That will all be available on patreon.com/rightandwrong. So
it was a real struggle. It was really, really hard to juggle everything. But if you want something that badly, you will find a way to make it work. You'll make it happen. So go for it.
Yes, indeed. And that's a great place to wrap up this episode. So thank you so much, Heidi, for coming on the podcast and telling us all about your new novel, Best Summer Ever, and everything that you've been doing with your writing and publishing journey. It's been awesome chatting.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it.
Heidi's latest novel, Best Summer Ever, is out right now as of this airing, so you can find it in all the usual places. And to keep up with what Heidi is doing, you can follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Heidi_Swain. If you search for her on Google, you'll find her website, and she's also on Facebook. To support the podcast, like, follow, and subscribe. Join the Patreon for ad-free extended episodes, and check out my other podcast, The Chosen Ones and Other Tropes. Thanks again, Heidi, and thanks to everyone listening. We will catch you on the next episode.